What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday. It is Speak Out Loud Day. It's the story behind the brand. And man, I am super excited about today's show. Now, I know I say that every Tuesday, right? I say that every Tuesday, but yeah, like the guests that I have on today are very special to me. You guys have probably, if you follow my personal page, you know, I always talk about this group of folks that I call my favorite humans. Well, today I have the wonderful and the opportunity to interview two of my favorite humans, and they have an amazing podcast. And we're going to talk about the story behind their brand, because this is Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand. So listen, I want you to get ready, because today's conversation is going to be awesome. I want you to get ready to speak out loud. If you're ready, let's go.
You're watching Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand.
About that. See how modest she is, y'all? But let's go. So roasted crickets, I'm like, not eating that.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Every day showing up, even when you don't feel like it.
And now your host, Lynette Jackson.
That's right. I am your host, Lynette Jackson, and I want to say hello to everybody that know who I am and that join me every Tuesday on this awesome podcast. Yep, I called it an awesome podcast because I enjoy coming out here talking to people. But if you don't know who I am, let me just share a little bit about who I am. My name is Lynette Jackson, and I'm the owner of Roar Media Group. Roar is a digital marketing company that helps its clients speak out loud in the marketplace. Now, why did I start this company? I started this company because there was a need to provide quality graphics at affordable prices. And I do this for churches and small businesses and nonprofits. And I would love to do it for you. If you would like for us to help you speak out loud with your projects and your products, log on to our website, roarmediagroup.com, and schedule your free consultation. Yep. It's a free consultation. It really is free, like free.com for free, just to talk to you and find out what's going on. All right. So this podcast is powered by Roar Media Group. So how about we listen to another commercial?
Roar Media Group is a full-service digital marketing, branding, and web development agency. Our mission is to help our clients speak out loud in the marketplace and grow their businesses by leveraging the power of digital media. We specialize in creating customized strategies that are tailored to meet each customer's unique needs and objectives. At Roar Media Group, we utilize cutting-edge technologies and proven strategies to create innovative digital marketing, branding, and web development solutions. Our team of experts is dedicated to helping our customers reach their goals by providing strategic advice and support. Contact us today at roarmediagroup.com and schedule your free consultation.
That's right. Again, you can schedule a free consultation with us and let us help you speak out loud. All right, let's get ready with the show today. All right, as I mentioned to you guys that these are two of my favorite humans in the whole wide world. And I don't have a whole bunch of humans that I kind of hang out with, but these two, I love these two to life. And today's show, we're going to talk about wedlock or deadlock. Which marriage are you in now? They just celebrated a very special milestone in their marriage. And so we're going to talk about that today. So listen, we're going to chat about, I'm going to read a few things here. No relationship is perfect. And marriage especially takes a lot of hard work to ensure it survives. The notion that wedlock or deadlock means if you don't put in the effort to keep the relationship alive, it's likely going to end in a disaster. Today, my guest will share their thoughts about how they, as a couple, keep their relationship in wedlock instead of deadlock. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and my pleasure to have two of my favorite humans on the planet with me today. Welcome to the Speak Out Loud podcast, Miss Shardy Williams and Mr. Walter Williams. What's going on, guys?
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Hi, Mom.
Okay, now listen. Let's
so
not
what do we
even
call
be all
you?
nervous.
Well,
Like,
you know I get nervous. So what do I call you? Do I call you Miss Lynette Ma? Because this is what I call you. I call you Ma.
No, please call me Ma. Please call me
Okay.
Ma. Because only you
Okay.
can say Ma like that. So please call me Ma. And I'm not
Yeah.
Miss Lynette. I'm Ma.
Okay.
But Walter, you call me Mom.
Mom.
Yes.
Yes. Like Mom.
Listen,
Yes.
listen. I am so excited because Walter, we have a very special relationship, and that is you're my first.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Do it.
What's up, y'all? Everybody, I want y'all to meet my firstborn. You made me a woman.
Yes, I did. I'm still making you a woman. I'm still making you a woman right now.
You
So-
still are making me a woman. You made me a woman. I had to grow up when I had you. Like, I really was time out for games. It was like, you a mom now, so you got to act right. You got to get you some act right.
Yeah.
Well, how are you both? And he married this beautiful young lady. We're going to talk about the story of him coming to me about you. We'll talk about that. But I want to welcome to the show today, Walter and Shardy Williams. They are the producers of this really fire podcast called the 111 Podcast. So I always start off asking my guests what I call the 4 clarity questions. Walter, don't make me laugh because you're going to be like, Mom, you got on your podcast voice right now. But that's okay. I have to have my podcast voice on, Walter, so don't bust me out, okay? All right. But I always start off asking my guests what I call the 4 clarity questions, and that is, who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it? And who do you have the pleasure to do it for? And we're going to start with ladies because ladies are always first and we rock. And so I'm going to throw to the fabulous Miss Shardy Williams.
I caught it.
Thank
you.
This is why I love her, right? This is going to be good. Ooh,
Well, I appreciate you so much. I love you. Not because you're my mother-in-law, but I love you because of who you are. And so I appreciate you even having us on here to do this. You know, I am nervous.
There's no crying.
Nervous is all get out because I am not I'm the hot behind the scenes person. So I really love you to do this.
Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. I know.
No
that.
edits. This is straight live. So to answer your questions is to who we are. We are Walter and Shardy. We are, I think if I were to describe us, best friends. This is my best friend over here. And we have been best friends for about 18 years now.
Okay.
So we've been best friends for 18 years. We have been married, so to speak, because to me, I feel like the best friend part comes first. And we've been married for 15 years. So we did celebrate a milestone in our marriage. It has been 15 wonderful years. It has its up and downs. And if you listen to the 111 podcast, you will hear us live, unfiltered, go through our things. But for the most part, that's who we are. We're met at work. We worked at the same company. And we were working in 2 different departments, but I had a privilege of working for his, at the time, manager. And so he introduced us at the pool table in passing. And he was like, hey, this is Walter Williams. I was like, hey, how you doing? You know, welcome to the company, shook his hand. And then we found out that we had a lot in common. We lived on the same side of town, on the south side of Atlanta. We found out we went to the same church. And those were things that attracted me to him as a person. And the friendship grew. And I didn't even know we were going on a first date. When we actually went out, I was like, whoa, is this a date? Because it was just like two people hanging out, two friends. And I was like, wow. So that's pretty much how I would describe the short beginnings to now where we are with two beautiful children, son that's about to turn 13, a daughter that's 8. And here we are.
Okay, well, so let's hear your side of the story. Because there's always
well, first of all, congratulations. You actually, I know you talk about you being shy and behind the scenes, but I think you did a great job of describing who we are, how we met. So kudos to you. But first of all, thanks for having
close your ears. You're gonna get some for that comment. Thank you, babe.
Thanks for having us on the show, babe. We made it. We are up on the east side now. We are big timers now. We've made it. So people care about us now. But no, it goes without saying. Thanks for having us on. And like Shardy was saying, we have been married. I can't argue with her story as far as how it, but I am the other half of the 111 podcast. I am Walter. So, so we met, 17, 18 years ago, and we've been keeping it going ever since. So, like Shardy said, it's not easy. We have our challenges, but we make it through.
So what was it like having that work relationship, like that work romance? Let's talk about that, because what y'all didn't say was we all worked at the same company.
Yes,
I worked there too.
Yeah, that was that.
And you that was very kept her away from me, like
I did.
Yeah,
I did. I didn't need you. I didn't need you in my business. I did not need you in my business. So. While
you was sporting around and dating girls on the job, it's like we all worked for the same company.
Right. No, that was definitely difficult, because traditionally, most people would say I'm not gonna date someone that I work with. And that was both of our biggest reasons why we didn't date, because she had a very strong position on I'm not dating nobody that I work with. Mm-hmm. And I was very much like, I'm kind of in the same boat. Mm-hmm. And so we accidentally got together. She didn't even know that we started dating. The first time we met, the first time we met, I was introduced to her from my boss as she was walking through the hallway. And when we started dating, she doesn't realize this is what happened. I was having I think it was at a JR Crickets, and a friend of mine, we were watching a football game, and she came and she crashed my party. And she said, "Can I come sit down and watch the game with you?" And I was like, "Of course." So then after that, I walked outside, and I just felt like, from then on, we just started hanging out. And she looked at it like we were gents, but in my mind, my agenda was to see how far this could go. And so that may be a detail she doesn't know. But so yeah, that's kind of how it started. And we went out to the movies one day, and she said, "Is this a date?" And I was, in my mind, I'm like, well, yeah, it's a date. And so, ever since then, we've been going strong since then. So that's where the friendship started. That's where the relationship began. And still now today, she's still my best friend. So.
Okay, y'all gonna melt my heart, because I know how you guys feel about each other. And so, but listen, this union has brought 2 more of my favorite humans, and I just want to just share that with you guys. Like, who are these people here? Oh my God.
Yes.
This right here, you my first grandchild, and then of course my mini me, my twin, my Bootski, yes. My little Ma. Yes. I call Christopher Papito, and this is my little Ma here. And you guys have brought me so much joy just to be a grandmother of these two awesome kids. They are both interesting in their own different personality. I think Christopher has a lot of, you know, Walter's quietness, and Missy is very outgoing, like Miss Shardy. Even though Shardy says she's not outgoing, Shardy is outgoing. Walter,
oh, she's
right?
outgoing.
Oh, she's outgoing. She's
always
I had my
out.
moment. Right.
She really does. But listen, these two right here, I can just recall that. I was out of the country because I'm always going somewhere. I was out of the country when Chris was born. And I just made it a point that I was not going, because I had to wait 8 days to see him, almost 10 days before I could touch his feet. I remember texting and emailing you guys saying, let me
what
see
does
his
he
feet.
smell like?
Yeah, what does he smell like? Like, can you tell? I'm like, I'm in Brazil, and he is like, my first grandchild is born. But I made sure that I wasn't going anywhere on my second grandchild. I was like, nah, I ain't going nowhere. No. And so I got a chance to hold Missy Pooh when she was about 20 minutes old. And so you have given me so much joy to be a grandmother. Like really, I think that God reserves a special place, and you'll know when you become grandparents, but I believe that God prepares a very special place in an individual's heart. It's a pocket of love, and when they become a grandparent, it bursts, and you just get all these weird feelings like, my grandkids can't do nothing wrong. This is not between you, it's between me and my grandkids. I've said all those things. Walter was like, I don't want them to call you Coco, because they call me Coco. I don't want them to call me Coco. I want them to call you grandmom. I was like, well, it really is not about you. It's not your relationship. It's between what, you know. I mean, I don't want to be called grandma.
Which that should be outlawed. This whole relationship where you can break the rules as a grandma.
Oh, yes. I can break the rules.
That should be outlawed. So
no, you know why? Because you broke the rules with my mother.
She wanted Snickers.
She
wanted candy, and she wanted me to get it for her. What am I supposed to do?
Contraband into my house to give to my mother, and you knew she was not supposed to have, and she could call you and tell you, Walty, Snickers. And then, you know, and you would bring them in and hide. I'm like, where'd you get that from? Walter brought it for me. Well, you are not supposed to eat that. And so really, it wasn't about me. It was about your relationship with my mom.
Well, let me just share, the feeling is mutual for you, because just recently, I would say Sunday, it was raining. There's about to be a father-daughter dance. I was taking little Miss Missy out to find a dress.
Okay.
So that she can dance with her dad in February for this dance. And so she was like, oh, I have to call Coco, because Coco is very fashionable and she knows makeup and she knows what I should wear. And so then she looked at me. I was like, you don't think I could pick out a dress anymore? And so she was like, she says, oh, not that you're not fashionable. I was like, I used to dress up before you came along. I used to dress. I used to be fly. I used to be fly like Coco. You did it to me. So she was going to call you, and because her grandmother is fashionable and she knows what I should wear to this dance, and I'm gonna dress daddy. So yeah.
Oh my God.
She is all about her Coco.
But I will have to come and do her makeup though. I will have to do her makeup, because I bought her, I said, I don't know if I did the right thing, but I bought her makeup for Christmas.
And that picture that you just showed, she had the makeup that you helped to do her makeup.
Let's show. Yes. Like I did her makeup for her. This was her recital, and I did her makeup, and she was just like, Mom, Coco's got to do my makeup. So yes. So let's talk a little bit about the fact that you guys started this amazing podcast called 111 Podcast, right? And this, first of all, tell us the story. This is called Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand. So what was the story behind the name of 111? Anybody can jump in and take.
So the story is very simple. To some people, they may not understand, but for those who are interested, we got married on January 11th. And so we got married January 11th, 2008. And so when we decided to start this podcast 4 years ago, we were trying to come up with a name. And so I was talking to Shardy and trying to figure out, well, what is a good name for us to come up with? Because what is something that is going to represent us? Mm-hmm. And so I said, well, what about the 111 podcast? And she was like, well, hey, that sounds like a great idea, because I mean, it's very simple. It speaks to what we are and who we are. And so that's where the name of the podcast came from. And so essentially the podcast is about love and everything that impacts relationships. So we talk about finances, we talk about current events, we talk about sex, we talk about a lot of I know every time you say sex to your mom, they cringe. Like, so,
and I'm surprised you don't cringe when you say it, right? It's
like, how did you get the kids, right? Okay, like,
right. So yeah, so that's kind of the origin of the name 111 Podcast. It's just our brand in regards to when we got married. And so what better way to name who we are than by calling it When We Became One.
Ooh.
Right.
Okay. So that was like revelation knowledge that flowed freely, unhindered by any satanic or demonic force. Like that was revelation. No, I think it's great. And so there are some podcast episodes that I cannot listen to.
You know what? I'm not
because
I don't want you to listen to some of those episodes. So
I support you guys tremendously, but there are some podcast episodes that I cannot listen to. I was like, oh, I'm like, oh, I'd be like, oh, earmuffs, because. But what I love about your podcast is you guys really are unfiltered. And you talk about
sometimes
the things
too unfiltered, but
yes.
But I think you talk about things that only people think about. Okay. Would you say that?
Yeah.
I mean you talk about the kids, you talk about, how your week was and the ups and downs of being parents. And I think that, I mean, let's be honest with each other. Like sometimes we will be like, I just don't feel like parenting today. I don't feel like adulting today. Like there's days I just don't feel like adulting, and there's days I just don't feel like being a parent, or even just like 50% of a parent today. And you guys really put voice to it. Now you have over 100, and how many episodes have you been doing?
160 episodes. So we've been doing this for a while.
Wow.
So yeah, we never thought that we would get to 100 episodes, and so now we're at 160 episodes. But really, the idea was to actually come up with thought-provoking conversations that people can have, whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship. Because a lot of times, because we're married, that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't have hypothetical questions and have conversations about things that a lot of people talk about, or a lot of people want to talk about, or a lot of people are feeling but are afraid to talk about it. So the topics that we discuss are topics that allow people to have conversations about where they are in their relationship, to kind of do a temperature check where they are, because a lot of times you don't know that you have a problem until you talk about it. Okay. And so when a situation, a question is brought up into your relationship, now you sit back and listen and you go, do I do that? Or do you do that? Because until you actually sit back and have a conversation about it, you don't know that, wow, I do what he said that what he does, or she does what she says. So,
and just to add to that which is a great point, because what was interesting is that Walter brought the idea of this podcast to me, and I, not wanting to be in social media at all, it was like, I shut down my Facebook. What are you talking about? A podcast? Like, I'm not even interested in anything. And so, but what grabbed me about the idea of us doing a podcast is that there are a lot of our demographic of like young adults to, you know, that point of you're in your 20s all the way to your 40s. There's a lot of things in relationships that a lot of times we don't know who to ask. We don't know that other relationships are going through the same problems. And there's a lot of times that we tend to jump to divorce instead of knowing that there's other people that feel the same way. So if there's a woman that's listening, or if there's a mother that's listening, or if there's a sister that's listening, there's something in our message, or the hope is that something is there that you can grab and hold on to say, okay, I'm not alone. He is crazy. Right. It really is him. It's a man thing. So I can live to see another day in my marriage. Or or even for men to listen, or for women to listen to what Walter has to say and say, wow, I never had an opportunity to hear it spoken in that way.
From a man's perspective.
From a man's perspective, because I'm so caught up and tuned to like this argument that we're going through, that now I can really optimistically hear another man speak on this and see that, okay, he might have a point. And so now I can relate to her.
It is
right,
her.
Right.
It is her.
And it could be us.
I'm not crazy. It is her.
Exactly. But it's to be unfiltered, because that's what we need to be. It's like there's so many people that's walking around, and you think that there's a lot of relationships because you see a couple together that everything is good. And there's a lot of people dealing with real life issues and a lot of real life stuff that you really want just to know that there's an answer to it. And maybe if there's not an answer to it, it's okay not to have an answer.
Yeah.
You know,
I think communication is the key to the breakthrough. And so one of the things that most people don't like to do is they don't want to talk.
Right.
And there's a good reason why people don't want to talk, because when you're trying to engage into a conversation with a person to share with them about, okay, how they made you feel about a certain situation, be honest with you, because we're going to just straight be honest with you. Sometimes what people do is they don't hear what you're saying. They're just waiting for you to shut up so that they can give you their point of view. So it's like, I'm just waiting for you to just be quiet. So,
I'm just listening to the host. What are you talking about?
Yeah, whatever. I know. Like, check.
Just check. Like, okay, oh my God. So they're not really listening. They're not really hearing, the person. People sometimes they don't hear. You hear with your ears, but you listen with your heart. And so people don't. They was like, oh my God. But. Yeah, no. Let me just tell you something. And so that's not talking. That's not a dialogue. That's arguing with each other. And so have you guys ever had incidences like that where you thought you could never even recover from a knockdown, drag out? Because I know that y'all knocked down. Everybody's had a knockdown, drag out.
Yes,
situation.
Babe. Like, did we? I think the last argument was like yesterday, right? What time? It's only 6 o'clock today, and we were working all day. So that's the only reason why we argued today. You want to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest challenge with the argument portion and trying to actually get over it is trying to find an opportunity to let that other person know that I'm still defending and I still feel how I feel about my position and what I'm saying. But at the same time, I want you to know that I'm still here with you. And I think that like, no matter what your stance is in regards to what you feel your point is that you're trying to make, if you can find a way to still let that person know that you're still here, you're still with them. I'm just processing and need a minute to get through whatever. So a lot of times what happens is that Shardy will do a temperature check with me where if I'm mad about something, if she can touch me then that means that I'm starting the process of cooling down. So she'll walk up and just try to touch me. And if I'm like, get away from me, I don't want to touch, then she knows. I don't want to
be touched.
Right.
That's right.
But I think that like we try to put a time limit on how long we are allowing ourselves to be in that moment. Because
so no 2, 3, 4 days a week.
No,
where y'all walk around.
No, usually the next day, the next morning, we try to reset and try to start all over again.
I love that word.
Which I think sometimes some people look at it as, well, I don't want to always continue to be having conversations and arguments about stuff. And the thing about, for me, arguing that I feel that you get out of arguing is the fact that you're still talking and you're still communicating. You still, you are still involved in the marriage, because the moment that you stop talking, then that's where the problem starts to really, really start to fester, because now it's, you okay? Yeah, I'm good. And then that, yeah, I'm good turns into weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And nobody's really having any resolve or having any opportunity to talk about how can we fix the situation. And so for us, a lot of times Shardy will say, well, this is just dysfunction. I don't like this. Why are we arguing so much? And I look at it differently. I look at it like, well, if we're not arguing, then that means we're not communicating and we're not having an opportunity to try to fix the conflict. Because to me, I feel like there's going to be a time where we're going to get to the point where when we're in our 60s and 70s, where you know, life will just be so easy and we'll be flowing. But until we get to that point, I like the challenge of continuing to learn how to grow, learning how to pay attention to what it is that she needs, and learning how to, because that's, you know, I jokingly tell people this all the time. When we're in a relationship is based off of you doing a whole bunch of things that you don't want to do. Because if you don't want to be in a relationship, then you could just be by yourself. And I think I've told you that before, Mom. Like a lot of times people will say, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this. And I said, well, you don't want a relationship, because if you don't want to talk all the time, then you don't want to be in a relationship, because that's what we do, is talk all of the time.
All the time. And just to add to that, and that was really powerful. And pretty much what I feel also is that, you know, just like how we talk about going to the gym, or we talk about working out, or we're talking about being fit, in order for you to be in a relationship, it is work. And you have to work that muscle in order for you to get strength in whatever it is. So if it's about communication, if that's a muscle that you have to work on in your relationship, then that is something that it will take discipline to continue to work that muscle, to figure out what it is that you need to communicate and how it's best to communicate with that partner. And then also, we both early on in our relationship, we learned like the love languages, and we read that book together, and we shared that. And to learn our language was really important, because there are differences in how we would want to communicate with each other, even in those differences and those times of differences. So one thing that Walter said that I think hit the nail is, it's like every day is a reset. It's not to forget. You don't forget what it is that you need to actually come back to and work the muscles for, but you definitely have to actually reset and give yourself a time to debrief on what it is that he might be today that you couldn't get because you was too upset to hear, or what is it that I'm trying to communicate, and maybe I need to communicate it differently so that he can receive. So it's really important for us to just sometimes reset. Him and I always, no matter what, we could be upset. By the time we get to the bed, we're most likely over it. You know, now
why is he smiling?
Like he said, if I touch him and he's still mad, he can be mad. But he's still, like, the next morning, one of us is always, whoever wakes up first or whoever, we always say good morning. We always say good morning, no matter how upset you are. If you want to make a cup of coffee for the person, to just say, hey, I know we still have to talk about this. But it's just a peace offering to start the day, to say, like, you know, this too shall pass, because that's another thing that I mentioned when we was talking about who we are. We went to the same church. We was fed spiritually from the same brook. So we knew that, you know, this too shall pass. And we knew that, you know, we can always lean to God. We pray together, you know, and there's things we teach our kids to pray. And so there's a lot of things that come from that foundation of our spiritual growth and that we lean to in those times of trouble.
Yeah, you know, I wrote down, I got my little pad here. I take notes, I scratch notes down, but I wrote down love languages, and I wrote down reset, because I think the reset is a very, very powerful tool. And I commend you both for being able to have that muscle, to be able to have the reset muscle, because think about it like this. And you talked about your spirituality, but think about it like this. God resets with us every day.
Yes.
And we wake up every single day. It's a reset. And I am so grateful that he doesn't say, well, you know, Lynette, you didn't do too good yesterday, so I'm not going to speak to you. Or you didn't even talk to me at all yesterday, Lynette. Like, you went the whole day and you didn't talk to me at all. And so, you know, but he, you know, he renews us every morning. And so with grace and with mercy. And so I am just so proud of you both that you have that as a core, as a foundation, to be able to say, no matter what, resetting is super important to me. Just like, you know, your computer. There's days that I don't ever turn my computer off, because, you know, I make it go to sleep, but I don't shut it down. But there are days where it's like, it'll just act up. And I'm like, oh no, I need to do a complete shut down, reboot, and do that. And so typically I should probably do it every day, but I don't, you know, I just, so, you know, because you go with life, you know, you do that. The other thing that, you know, I wrote down, and then you spoke about it, was love languages. You know, when I learned about love languages, it was a big aha moment for me, because Walter has a brother. Of course, we know him, the fabulous RK Jackson. We love him. We really do love him. The three of us, we love him. He's mad cool. But I had to learn how to love them differently. I loved them each very, very much with every fiber of my being. But loving Walter is different from loving RK. He has to be loved a certain way. And what I had to do was to learn their love languages. And, you know, I realized that, and RK always say, Mom, you really do understand our love languages. And I had to learn that as a mom, because, you know, I can't say, well, Walter, why can't you be like RK? And RK, why can't you be like, you know, Walter? And you'll probably learn the same two things about both of your children, is that you love them dearly, but you have to love them differently.
Right.
And so Walter, what is one thing about Shardy? What is
I love trivia. Yay!
I know you do. I know you do. What is one thing? Okay, let me just ask you both this before I go to the Walter. One is what was one big argument that you had, and you both realized this is the dumbest thing that we've been arguing? Why did we even argue about that? Because sometimes if you don't sit back and say, look at what you were like, I don't even know why I was mad at you. You know, it's like communication is such the key. And so if you're not able to talk to each other, you'll be like, that was so dumb. What? So give us all an example of a dumb argument that you had.
I think most of them are dumb. But what was the one that we were arguing about yesterday?
No, they all are dumb.
They all are dumb. They all, so, you know what? It's almost like a child, you know, and this is what I feel about all of our dumb arguments. It's almost like, you know how like, well, I don't want to be too spiritual about this, but you know how like, it's like when you are a child and you see like a child having a temper tantrum and you're like, you're older now, so you see that what they're actually fighting about is so trivial. Or you see a brother, it's just like, they were arguing about pizza. You know, she asked him how you got 2 slices, and he's like, what does it matter to you? You know, there's enough for you. And they're arguing. So as an adult, you're looking at these 2 kids arguing. You're like, look, there's enough for everyone that is just so trivial. And so I feel like a lot of times as we get older and more mature in our relationship, a lot of arguments become trivial. So we could pick, I mean, you would need us back for another hour to talk about. We need to write a book about all these arguments. But what, do you have, I mean, the argument yesterday was stupid. I can't even remember.
But they all center around one common thing, and that is trash. Trash is a very big argument in our house because that's where that's the root and center of all of the arguments. Because Shardy will wait until trash comes up to insert all of the other things that it is that she wants to bring in. So what happens is that we almost have to, I always like to say, keep the main thing, because as a man, I'm very centered on this is an isolated situation. And I don't know how to have an argument about the trash and then it turned into something else. So usually where we have the dumb arguments is because we'll talk about like, well, babe, what do you want for dinner? Oh, I think I want Chick-fil-A. And we're arguing about the fact that like, I should have known that she wants a number one with cheese. And the fact that like, I didn't say, well, you didn't give me an opportunity to tell me if I wanted to be able to order what I want. Well, I think I know what you want because you get the same thing all the time. Or as we go to McDonald's all the time with the kids, which I've divorced McDonald's, by the way. Okay. I don't no longer eat McDonald's anymore because they had one. For you. So this is one of the dumb arguments. I don't know if you remember this. So we're going to McDonald's. And this is what happens all the time with Shardy. We get to McDonald's and she stares at the menu.
That freaks him out. That pisses him off to no return. He's McDonald's. Like, the menu hasn't changed.
It's McDonald's. It's McDonald's. What do you? It's a chicken sandwich and fries. What else do you want?
I'd be like,
so she sit there. She'd be like, what's that new thing that y'all got? What's that? And I'm like, are you serious? So that's a perfect example of how the argument that starts off with something real dumb. Yeah. And so then it turns into, I don't like the way you talk to me. You see how you was disrespectful. The people in the McDonald's, they could have heard what you said. And then you driving off. And this is what I'm saying. You never listen to me. You never. So they're always stupid arguments that always start very dumb. But then there's a lot of unresolved issues that come up as a result of that small little argument. And then now I'm upset with you based off of the fact that I didn't order or you took too long to order at McDonald's. And now things and wounds and feelings that you have felt from 2-3 weeks ago come up that I realized, wow, we still haven't resolved this issue. I thought we were over this. And so usually we get tripped up with those little arguments all the time. And then when you sit down and I'm in my room and she's in her room, and then she'll text me and say, you know, I love you. And I'm like, I love you too. And so then, so yeah, we have a lot of, but a lot of them are very reoccurring arguments. And you'll find that I talk to friends all the time and they ask me, man, like, what is it like being in a relationship that long? And I'm like, man, if you just keep living and being in a relationship and continue to talk, you'll find more reasons to find more opportunities to work and try to develop. Because I know Shardy's very big on like dysfunction and arguing. But like I said earlier, like I feel like if we're arguing, we're still talking.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have different definitions of what arguments are and are not. But that's, like you said, if you have another hour or so, we can get into that. But this isn't about that.
Show. Yeah.
Well, we are listening to the wonderful Walter and Shardy Williams from the 111 podcast. And so you see this, what's happening here. This is what you're going to hear on their podcast. It's unfiltered. Yes. It's real. It's just raw. And what I love so much about it is it's like going to therapy every week. Do y'all feel like y'all are in therapy every week when y'all are doing the podcast with each other, because you get to work through a lot of issues while you're literally on the podcast?
Yes. And that goes to some of those questions that you asked in the beginning. That goes to like the why, you know, like for me, especially not being a social media type person, for me, it is very therapeutic because it does allow us to take an opportunity in a safe place to actually have a conversation without, and to really listen differently than I would if it was just outside of us just sitting on the couch. So when we have an opportunity I can ask him questions that he probably wouldn't have time if he was playing Madden or
watching,
or if the game was on
the Falcons.
Yes, if the Falcons was getting beat up. Sorry, Falcons. I'm sorry. I love you too, right? You know.
I don't have a button, but I would press it if I had.
I know he would press it. He'd be like, Chikars. Yes, he would be like, he would be on fire right now. But so it is a safe place where we can actually open up and talk about things that we probably just normally wouldn't. We could put scenarios out there and really dive into how our thought process is. So I think I know him even more. I felt like we were talkers before podcast, but it allowed us to open up to things that I know now about him and how he processes certain things or how he thinks. And so it does allow us to feel, for me, like that therapeutic moment where I can just like sit on the couch and be like, so I didn't even know you thought that way,
Exactly. And so, he's on a podcast and it's like, you have a moment where he can express himself, you can express yourself. And that's what I really love about your podcast is because, I hear your heart sometimes, girl. I hear you be like, no. And then I hear his heart and he's like, so you really thought like that? Oh, wow. So it's a time of reflection because sometimes we have to do a reversal of the person to actually understand the compassion or have compassion. You have to walk in your shoes. And I just want to say that I learn from you guys all the time. Like I'm learning from you, Shardy. I learn from Walter. Walter is subtle with how he says things to me, and he'll be like, Mom, you really do that. I'm like, no, I don't. He goes, yeah, you do. And I'll be like, really? And I think what you guys do every week when you do your podcast is, and I think, Walter, you and I may have chatted about this too, is that you put a mirror in front of you every single week. And you actually look at yourselves. You don't look at yourself as how your mind thinks you look. You literally look at yourself and look at the reflection. I think, Walter, you and I were having this conversation. It's like what we have to do sometimes is look in the mirror and know that, I just recently lost, probably about 35 pounds. And so I could look in the mirror and I finally see it. Like I see myself but now I see that I've lost the weight. But before I'd be like, yo, I'm a size 4 and you looking at a size 20. And it's like, that's what I want to be in my mind is a size 4. Okay. But what's looking back at me really is a size 20 or size 18 or size 16. So I think what you guys are doing and what you're doing for other people is actually helping them put a mirror in front of them and really see what the mirror is reflecting back to them. And with that, I have a little quick segue. I'm going to give everybody a little bit of voice on what the 111 podcast is all about. Listen to this. Now, it's not visual, but just listen to this.
Welcome back, everybody. We got the 111 podcast going, and I got my mom and my dad here, Walter and Shardy. And we gonna have some fun. Actually, DJ Do It, cut the beat.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 111 podcast. I am your host, Walt Baby Love, and I always have my very special host with me, Yo Face.
Ha ha ha. So is that real? Like you gonna give me a t-shirt that say Your Face?
I'm thinking about it. I love your face. Especially when your face is making facial expressions.
Right. And I do that all the time when you say stupid stuff.
How's everybody doing? We are back for another episode of the 111 podcast. This is episode 159. We keep going and keep going and keep going. We ain't gonna never stop. Can't stop, won't stop. So how you doing, babe?
Good. I feel extremely
Do you feel
relaxed.
Rejuvenated?
Yeah. I feel relaxed, but and I was kind of sad because I did not want to leave We just came back from Mexico. Cancun, Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a great trip. It was just a trip with your face and Whoa, baby love.
Embrace it.
And so
embrace it.
We had a blast. We used to take trips and stuff like that. And of course, I always have my stories about the kids and stuff, because that's ultimately what my life is surrounded by. So I always have stories with them. But
now you have the stories.
It was nice to do what we used to do, because we always took trips and we always spent time and we always did our day dates and things like that to keep our relationship fresh. And so it was really nice. I mean, we had a whole week where we did not argue. Wow.
Yeah.
And then we came back, and within 24 hours, hitting the U.S. soil, we was back in action, like, arguing about,
that's how
stupid stuff.
That's how
and I was like, really? We can't just have 2 more days?
No, I can't let you live.
And so
she is right, and you can't let her live. Okay. So, one thing that I love about that particular episode, Walter, you mentioned that one of the things that you enjoyed so much about being away, and this is something that I respect about you, and you and I talk about, we can have conversations for hours on the phone, but you said, I enjoy just being a husband, not necessarily a dad, but I enjoy being a husband during this time. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, what's it like to make a comment like that? And it's not to be like, oh my gosh, so don't nobody out there say, oh, he's trying to not be a father or whatever. No, share what you meant about that statement.
Well, what I meant by that is Shardy and I have a very, very interesting dynamic, because her and I, like she likes to say, we're yin and yang, and we balance each other very well. And so there's a lot of areas that she's very strong in, and there's some areas that I'm weak in, and vice versa. But I think when it comes to relationship enrichment and being able to connect and be with each other, that's something that I've always been extremely passionate about, trying to make sure that no matter what we do, we get a chance to reconnect. Because as harsh as it sounds, a lot of times people become parents and they forget about their marriage and their relationship. And so now they allow
a clap track, I would clap on that one.
They allow their children to define their life instead of allowing it to be the other way around. Because I always say, the kids, they joined me. I didn't join them. So again, I have to find balance in that. But what I mean by that is that a lot of times people get married and they lose their identity becomes found in their children, and then they lose themselves, and then they become empty nesters and they don't know how to act. So I am always been the person who's been very, very big on like relationship enrichment and being able to take time away to get away, to disconnect from the children. Shardy is very passionate about being a mom, being a parent. And obviously, naturally, she's a woman. She's going to try to make sure that the kids have everything that they need. She's a nurturer. She is a protector. She's all of those great qualities that you would want to have in a wife and a mom. But it's hard to pull her away from that sometimes. So when I get a chance to have her one-on-one, and I get to just be a husband, and we get to go back to year one, day one, where it was just us, then I get to be refreshed with the whole idea of why I married you in the first place. Because a lot of times people don't get a chance to, like I tell her all the time, the reason why we can stay together because I actually like you. And it seems extremely simple when people say that, because people go, I'm with my husband and my wife because I love them. No, I like my wife. She's hard to love, but because I like her, it's easy to love her for me. So I think that being able to have a moment to disconnect and be a husband and just kind of go back to how things were kind of lets us have a preview as to what it's going to look like in a few more years.
Yes, empty nesters. We're looking forward to those moments when we become.
You get a chance we have a refreshing and
Cops
we have
and
an
robbers,
opportunity.
here we come.
Why are you telling everybody?
All right, I'm sorry.
Cops and robbers. Oh
Cops and
God.
robbers.
See?
So,
Earmuffs,
but yeah, I
Kids
like
be
the
coming home from
opportunity.
college and be like, "You here early?"
But I
Hey,
like
put
the
the cuffs
opportunity
away.
to be able to be a husband and to be able to, connect with Shardee, the wife, not Shardee, the mom, not Shardee, the employee. But all of the reasons why I married her is when we're on the beach, just hanging out. So,
Yes.
Okay,
And
Shirley, what's your thought on that?
That is so, key, because I think that even what tends to happen is we tend to really lose sight as women, like when we're in a relationship, when we're getting married, when we get married. And for me, my testimony is different because I'm an older mom, but it took me a long time to have children. I had a lot of challenges having children. And so the passion behind children and wanting kids, and it is even heightened. So it's a difference when, and not to take away from young moms, but when you're an older mom, your values and what is important to you is different. And Walter and I, like, to his point, it was so good. I mean, we honestly, when we were dating, we did not argue at all. We didn't argue about anything. And our first arguments was surrounding the kids. When we had Chris and he came along, it was about parenting styles, because that was our introduced to how we would parent at, and cohabitate as parents. And so you don't know how to discuss it ahead of time. You can say, how do you feel about this? How you feel about this? But it's not until the scenarios present themselves
you're in the moment.
In the moment that you can actually see how this person thinks about what they feel about certain things. And so he does balance us. And I think it's extremely important, not only for him to balance us and saying like, hey, can you take this day off? Because we used to do day dates prior to the pandemic, just because it's hard sometimes to take, the kids got activities on the weekend. So sometimes just taking a day off in the same time where you can actually disconnect from work and just have those moments. We used to do it all the time, like once a month, every other month, and make it a priority. But he does balance us a lot more, because I was really strong in that and heavy into, because it was like, hey, let's go on this trip. Let's do this. And then when they came along, I was like tuned into their needs, because in my mind as a mom, I look at it like they're only going to be this age for a short period of time. So I need to make sure that they have the foundation that they need. Yeah. When they grow up like 10, 13, they're not going to want to be around me. But while they want to be around me, let me be present. Let me be in the moment with them. And then I just have to still connect with him. And so it does become difficult sometimes, but it's definitely something that he does right now. And I think that it's all about seasons. I had my season when I was strong in that area, but this is his season. And he definitely, he found the Cancun trip that we went on. So this is his season where he's now making sure
that y'all have that
play
balance.
Cops and robbers.
Well, look at him. Look at you get all.
I know he's
oh my gosh, Shardee.
Right.
So, I think what you're saying is something super powerful for anybody that is out here who, that hit that mild 7 in their marriage, and they're like, feeling like they got weights on their legs and they're, going through the mud, is that you have to, and they're trying to deal with the kids. You do have to give yourself permission to be adults again. And you have to give yourself permission. Now, my girl, Miss Kennedy, my granddaughter, my AKA Lil Ma, when she found out that you guys were going on vacation, she was extremely upset. She was upset because Chris knew you guys were going on vacation. And she didn't know y'all were going on vacation. And they happened to be at my house when she discovered it. And literally, she had a full-blown meltdown. Like, she just, I'm watching TV and Chris was using his VR thing. And she just kind of went into bed with her iPad and got in my bed. And I was like, what's wrong with you? I'm upset. And I'm like, why? So I had to explain to her that mom and dad need mom and dad time.
Yes.
And to kids, they just feel like at times that you're just there for them. And they don't even understand that, like, y'all, you are a woman and he is a man. And I know they may be too young to think about that, but I'm like, they need mom and dad time, but I need to go to Mexico too. And I said, no, you don't. This is not your trip. Mom and dad take you everywhere. I mean, y'all go to Wolf Lodge, you go to Disney, you know, y'all go to Myrtle Beach. Mom and dad take you guys always on trips, on vacations, but this is a mom and dad thing. And they think this time. So I think you need to give yourself permission to be adults, because a lot of times we get so caught up in the guilt of raising our children that we don't, we don't think about that. And I wish in my marriage, I would have done that more, because I wrapped my head around, kids and trying to do that. I was a single parent with Walter, and I had to take him everywhere. Like Walter and I went everywhere together. We went to movies. There's times that I'm sitting in a movie and I didn't have a babysitter for him, so I'd cover his eyes when boobs come up, I'll be like, look, just close your ears and cover your eyes and you be all right, But
and now you do that when you with me.
I know, right? I do that. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to see this. And so I think it's just really good to be able to give yourself permission. What do you think on that, Walt?
Oh, 100% subscribe to that. You don't have to try to sell me another on that. I try to criminalize the versions of myself. Obviously, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm an individual as well. But I try to make sure that she always understands that, like, I am always interested in getting to the point of the day where we can just connect. So I am very, hurry up, take a shower, hurry up, get your homework done. Did you eat? Go ahead, get in there. You need to have Kennedy time. You need to be in bed at 9:30 because I want mommy at 9:30, 10 o'clock. Not just for sexual purposes. It's just, I just like to be able to have the stripped down version of her. And I realized that, I realized that, like, there's a lot of things that come along. She wears a lot of hats. And I have told her this before, that a lot of the success that I have, that we have, is because of her. So there's a lot of things that she does behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see or don't know that make us very successful. So she wears a lot of hats. And so anytime I can get her to put down some of the hats, that's what I look forward to, because then now it's those moments that I realize that if I could strip all of those things down and be able to connect and share with her and be able to have moments to just say, look, I understand today was a long day. We had this, we had that, we had this, but now we have each other. So it's very important.
Well, Shardy.
Yes. Woo. And right, you clutch my pearls.
I'm clutching my pearls, girl.
And babe, I want to add to what you just said. And Ma, you said something earlier, because you said, being okay with having the moment and getting that moment. But then women, we have to be okay and not feel guilty for that moment. And then we also have to trust our partner that when they're requesting that time, to find ways to, like, how to Walter's point is, like, being able to be okay with putting down some things. Now, sometimes for us, like for me, sometimes that means I have to shut down a little bit earlier.
Okay.
And I know I have a ton of work to do. I had clothes that I need to wash. I have, I wanted to check her homework. That might mean if he needs me, I may have shut down, but that means I may have to pick it up on the back end. Like I may get up a little earlier. I know he's sleep, she's sleep. I may be checking email. I may get up and log in a little bit earlier and then take that time that I need to finish up that, put a load in. So it's just being okay with taking the time that he needs to connect, because a lot of times we start to feel guilty when we take that time for even just ourselves. If I go and try to run to get my hair done or nails done, I feel guilty. Or if she says, I wanted to go with you, I'll be like, come on, you know, and sometimes you got to be okay with saying, it's okay, you'll go the next time.
Flexibility.
So, or daddy, right? Daddy needs me to spend time with daddy. And so I'll give you, as soon as you come home from school, we'll spend some time. I'll do your nails when you come home from school. So just being okay with that, and giving yourself as a woman grace to understand that it's okay to not be Superwoman. It's okay to say no. Right. But you definitely have to find times to connect with your husband and just compartmentalize what's important for that moment and prioritize.
No, I think that is powerful. I want to, before we go, I know you both have you have to stop, but I have a couple things that I want to ask. I want to play a little bit of a game with you. And it is, who is more likely? I know you guys have probably played this game before, but who is more likely to wash the dishes? And some of these answers, I'm going to try to keep a straight face because I do know some of these answers, but who's more likely to wash the dishes?
Walter doesn't know how to wash dishes. He'll put it in the dishwasher, but that's still washing the dishes. But sorry, you ain't asked for all that. I'm sorry. I'm playing.
You do know you're upstairs.
I know.
Still
she's
can come
upstairs. She's in her office. He's in his office. So who is more likely? Okay, I don't know. It was more likely to put out the trash, because I think trash was an issue. Okay, so her mouth just got real tight.
So
I'll break down the Amazon boxes.
Listen. So Shardy is more likely to take out the trash, not because I don't have the ability to do it. It's just she has a time limit and an expiration date on when the trash needs to be taken out.
Oh, okay.
So, just play the game, bro. Just play the game.
What?
Don't. Right. Don't
this
be
is
about
the 111 podcast in live.
This is live. Don't just play the game. No lip talk. Nah, no lip service.
Who is more likely to know the lyrics of every song ever written?
Oh, it depends on the time. Okay. Because if you talk about like New Edition and back in the day, I know those lyrics. But he's the one. I would give it to him.
Okay. All right. Don't back talk. Just answer the question. Right back at you.
Shout out to T.I. He knows your lyrics.
Yeah. Oh my God. He was obsessed with T.I. Like he's a down south dude. Like he came to Atlanta when you were what, 8 or 9? 9? 9?
Yep.
Was it 9?
Yeah.
9, yeah. So he's been embedded here in the southern, T.I. life world. And his first rapper was what? Was it Pastor Troy? Was that
Can we keep on with the game, please? We're getting off task here.
Who's most likely? I'm gonna keep my face solemn. Like, who's most likely to be late?
To be what?
Oh, all day. I'm sorry. Let me do this.
To be late. And look at Walter say, what? Huh?
I'll put my feet up if I could. It's me.
Oh my God. Who is most likely to shop the most?
That's you.
No.
Shopping spree. You want me to tell you about?
No, we're not talking about lately, but just because we have different definitions of shopping.
It's seasons. Okay? This is your season. You are shopping.
So define what your question is. Is it online shopping or just shopping in general?
Really? Shopping. Just shopping.
You see how he is?
Oh, well, it's a tie. It's a tie then, I guess. Okay,
so y'all both like to shop.
We do.
Yeah. Her slightly more than me, but
okay.
I'm gonna call this one. I'm going to call this even, okay? Because I know she has a love affair with Amazon and the UPS drivers, but you also have a little love affair too with sneakers and what the Funko Pops?
Wow.
Funko Pops, yeah.
He got a new love too.
You didn't give me the rundown before I came on this show. Now, I'm going to talk to your producers and talk to you about, like, I need to screen the questions before I come on, because you can't be putting my business out there.
All right, just 2 more. Who is more likely to paint the house a different color?
Would it be you? I don't know if either one of us. I think it would be. Would it be you?
It probably.
Well, that would be a tie because right now that's one thing we probably would be on the same page. You'd be like, babe, do you? Because he's not gonna paint. I'm not gonna paint, but we probably come up with a color together, right?
Yeah. Now we will come up with a color together, but I ain't painting.
But you're not painting. Who's more likely to get a speeding ticket? I'm gonna put my head down on this one.
Oh, yes.
Whoa!
Put my head down on that.
Up until last week.
Oh.
But up until last week, because I got one.
I
got one in the mail.
Did you know that? That's why you asked that? Did you didn't know?
No, I didn't know.
He just got one. It's due in February. Yes.
You got caught by the camera?
Yes, by the camera.
I hate that camera. That camera. You know, that camera's oh no.
And then she goes, well, you gonna fight it? And I'm like, it's me. It's me. It has my tag on it. It's me. That was me driving.
I thought you knew when you asked that. I was like, yes.
Shardy is no, didn't know, but I know Shardy has been the queen of get the tickets.
But that was back in the day. I haven't done it, you know, knock on wood. I haven't gotten tickets in like over 10 years.
I know you'll fight them.
Yeah.
You will be like, no.
Yes, because I will fight them, but I've been pretty good. I'll be late as all get out, but that's because I'm not, you know, I may. Yeah, but that's him. He's the ticket person.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not gonna, I have a bunch of them, but I'm not gonna go into any more. I just want to say, first of all, I want to say to you, Shardy, I'm so glad he chose you. I remember Walter and I had a little thing where, you know, before he was, I'm going there, Walter, because it's my show. But I remember when he and I had a little thing, you know, where it'd be like, you know, I think I like this person. I don't like this person. And it was like, you know, as a mother, it's difficult to get connected to women, you know, that you bring. It's like, this is the one today. And then you start liking that person. And then all of a sudden it's like, why they don't come around no more? Oh, they not the thing today. Right. And so we had this little agreement that I didn't need to meet, as we call the jump offs. Like, I don't need to meet people that you're casually dating and things like that. You bring the person home to me that you feel like you are serious about. And so he came to me and he goes like, I met this young lady and I really, really like her. And from the moment that I met you, I was like, yeah, this is the one. It was the one. I don't know whether you remember our first conversation.
Yes, in the kitchen. Yes, in the kitchen.
It was just, it was not forced. It was just organic. It was very natural. And I fell in love with you.
As if we were doing it all along.
If we had known each other all along. And I just want to say to you, Shardy, I am just so glad he chose you because you are such an amazing mother. And I want all my listeners to know that I have the best daughter-in-law. And y'all have heard me talk about my daughter-in-law, not daughter-in-law, but my daughter-in-law, that you are the best mom. You are an amazing provider and homemaker for my two other favorite people. I'm just grateful that he chose you and that you are the mother of my grandchildren. And so I love you to life. I thank God for you. And I'm just always in awe at you, at how you nurture and take care of my grandchildren, because there are people, mothers out there that really don't do that. You are a smart girl. You are such a great, you are so forceful about their education and about them getting great education and doing their homework and to taking the time. Because I didn't always check this dude's homework. It was like, child, I'm just trying to get home and fix y'all something to eat. And a lot of things slip through the cracks when as a single parent. And at one point I was raising two of them by myself. But I'm just grateful to you. And I just want to give you your flowers today and let you know how much I love you, how I appreciate you. And I'm not going to forget you, son. You did make me, you made a woman out of me. I had to grow up and I grew up fast. I was a teen mom when I had you. I had you at 19 years of age. And so we, you know, don't forget now how much older I am of you. It's not that much. And so we grew up with each other. Look at him. He doesn't want you to talk about him, but I just want to thank God for you, Walter. I love you so much. You are an amazing protector and provider. You do not rule your house with an iron fist. You rule it with grace and love and compassion. And you are so much like God the Father. And I'm just so grateful that I've never bailed you out of jail. I did pick you up once, but I never bailed. I did
okay,
pick you
lady,
up,
you
but I never bailed you out
again.
again. And this gives me my opportunity to give you guys some flowers. And I just thank God for you. I want you guys in the Speak Out Loud podcast to please follow the 111 podcast. It's on IG, and they also have a handle on TikTok. But you can listen to their unfiltered, funny, crazy, lovely, serious podcast. All 160 episodes. So that's a lot. That's 160 weeks that you guys have been doing this. And consistency, yes. 3 years. Consistency is the key to the breakthrough. You guys are changing lives. You have followers all over the world. Like, you have them in countries that you're like, I don't know these people, but they know you. They know Walter, Walt Baby Love, and Shy Boogie. They know y'all. Oh yeah, I listen. Mm-hmm. I don't listen to all the podcasts, but I do listen. And y'all are just making such an impact. Just as we leave, what would you encourage, both of you in your own words, somebody who could be struggling in their marriage today? Give us something that you would encourage them to do. Go ahead, Shardy, you start.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. You have always been, dear to me. And I just appreciate what you're even trying to do with this, because to your point, there's a lot of people that need this as a platform, mm-hmm. and everyone gets what they need differently. Mm-hmm. And so this is definitely something that would speak to a lot of people. Hopefully whatever our crazy relationship, and hopefully they will get something out of this message today. But what I would say is that people who are in relationships that who are going through whatever it is that they're going through, just understand that, look to your friend in those moments and try to figure out how would you handle your best friend. Mm-hmm. Because then sometimes that compassion will come when it's difficult to see that person mm-hmm. through the pain that they may be putting you through, or the struggles mm-hmm. and the times. So, talk to your friend, and then find resources outside of you. You don't talk to your best friends. That's one thing that I did learn that early on, is that you don't always have to go to your best friends, but find someone who is seasoned in a relationship that mm-hmm. can actually guide and speak to some of those issues, mm-hmm. because sometimes they can give you the guidance, as opposed to just telling you like, you need to leave your man, or you mm-hmm. need to, so they won't really, they'll see the wisdom in what mm-hmm. you need to do at that time. So
mm-hmm. What about you, Walter?
I would just say be confident in who you are and know what your relationship is and what it isn't. A lot of times people will say, oh, well, y'all is like, whatever your relationship is designed to be, whatever understanding you and your spouse have, it's okay. And different doesn't always mean bad. Just because mm-hmm. you have a style of relationship doesn't mean that it's bad. Mm-hmm. And so I would always just encourage people to just, no matter what, just keep talking. If you keep talking, then you can talk yourself out of your problems. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a lot of things you can talk yourself into, but I think you also can talk yourself out of a lot of heartache and a lot of pain if you would just talk. And I think a lot of people in relationships, they just don't talk. They just let things happen and they don't talk. So you see and understand things are happening, and you're not speaking up about it. And then like it's creating wounds and Band-Aids are being put on, and you never really get a chance to really flush that out and able to talk about it. So no matter what, just continue to talk. I'm sure that the answer will be there, but just never stop talking.
Wow, never stop talking. That is awesome. Well, I want to thank you both. I would love to have you come back again and maybe come and do another show, and just maybe we'll take some questions and answers. We had a comment out here. Hold on a second. Oh, Keith Johnson. Yeah. Look, Keith says, could have used this 20 years ago. So you see there, you guys are, hey, Keith, thanks for watching. And really, you're right. I could have used this 20 years ago. So you never know. You may have said in the beginning, hey, I don't know, should we do this podcast? And the fact that you did do it, you're delivering so many other people. You're actually helping other people stay together, because what you guys do is you really, really make sure that you just are open about everything. And I really, really appreciate that. Yes. All right, guys. Well, I love you so much. I love y'all to life. Too. Thank you so much for joining us on Speak Out Loud. You did great. Shardy, you did great. Walter, you did great. You know, I know you was like nervous about it, but
yeah, y'all are sweating and hot and yeah.
But y'all will have to come back and just do some relationship stuff for our Speak Out Loud audience. I would love to have people come in and ask questions and have you guys to give you. Your 15 years is not an easy thing to do, but you made it with God's grace. And I'm so grateful to you both. I love you so much.
I love you too. Thank you for having us.
All right. Bye. Well, guys, that was the 111 podcast producers. You can find their information on all of the podcast platforms on, Spotify and Apple and Google Play. So please download their podcast and, give them some love, because they're really, really, they're really doing some amazing work and delivering quite a few folks out of the darkness of marriage bliss and going to divorce court. So I love that. And I love them so much. All right. Well, that's all the time that we have for now. Remember, God loves you. I love you. But most importantly, learn to love yourself. Bye for now.
You've been watching Speak Out Loud, the story behind the brand, with your host, Lynette Jackson. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. And until next week, don't forget to use your voice to speak out loud.